Welcome to the Kevin Clancy Show. I've been in this game over a decade, and I knew I needed a place where I could run wild on my own solo podcast, where I tell personal stories, I deep dive into conspiracy theories, we rip through the current events of the day, and we do sit-down conversations with the most interesting people on the internet. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. What's up, you mutts? It's another episode of the Kevin Clancy Show live here on the KFC Radio YouTube from Barstool HQ inside the radio room. Back live, week number 2. Last week, I'd say, was a rousing success. Everybody likes the live element and the call-in element, and me being back in here with my man Za back behind the glass. Yay, yay!
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. We're back.
People are happy about it, so let's do it. We'll do another hour and a half, whatever. We'll see how it goes. We'll get to your calls in the second half of the show. I got to talk about my appearance on the Dave Portnoy Show. We got to talk about a whole bunch of shit, but first, I start on a somber note where I have to offer condolences to the Entenmenns family. R.I.P. to Charles Entenmann, the GOAT, an American Titan who passed away late February. The news just kind of went public last night. At the age of 92, Charles Entenmann, who was responsible for taking Entenmenns to the pinnacle of baked goods treats in your house. They started out in Bayshore, Long Island, with just a little bakery, the Entenmenns Bakery, and it was him and I think his siblings, after his parents passed away and passed it down to them, that took it to the level that it's at now in grocery stores and in your kitchens and into your goddamn hearts. And you want to know the craziest fucking thing? He didn't eat desserts. Charles Entenmann didn't eat Entenmenns. People in his obituary, people were like, what is his favorite snack? And they were like, you know what? He just didn't eat that stuff. That's fucking crazy, man. I mean, never get high on your own supply. I mean, I guess it makes sense. But it's like, I don't eat this shit. Are you kidding me? I'm just pumping these synthetic donuts to the heartland of America. I don't give a fuck about eating them myself. I'm a healthy person. But, man, when the news – so, like I said, I think he passed away February 24th. So, at this rate, like a few weeks ago. So, like, if you were paying attention to, like, the obituaries and stuff, it was known. But the news wasn't really public until yesterday. And when some account of note must have posted it, Newsday or somebody, like a newspaper, posted that he died, my phone blew up like I had my own death in the family. It was nuts. I got like 10, it was like, broop, 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 like blew up with everybody sending me the tweet saying sorry for your loss, to the point that for a second I actually got scared. I was like, wait a minute, something bad happened. It was like either something embarrassing has happened with the Mets or the Jets, or I've done something wrong, I'm getting canceled, somebody's died, what's going on? Nope, it's just that the man behind my favorite food ever passed away. People acted like he was in my family, and honestly, without being that dramatic, he basically was. Like, I can't describe to you the role that Entenmann's Donuts plays in my life and in my family's life. Like, as soon as I had fucking teeth, I would sit with one of the donuts on my finger and just, like, eat around it. And, I mean, ever since then, I've probably had, there's no doubt in my mind, that there is not a single person on the planet who has eaten more rich frosted donuts than I have. I think I can genuinely take that. Like, put whoever you want up there. I don't care how old they are. I don't care how fat they are. Nobody has had more rich frosted donuts than your boy. And, like, the jokes that my family makes about it and the fact that they're just, like, always on deck. We have a donut season. We only eat them during certain parts of the year. It's, like, the most important thing in my life outside of – it's like the kids, the Mets, Barstool, Entenmenns. That's the list right there. So shout out to Charles Entenmann, a fucking American Titan, a good old Long Island boy, New Yorker who took a little bakery to the fucking promised land. I mean, I'm sure they are so goddamn rich.
So is it just the donuts that you eat? Because I was going to get you to rank them.
Okay.
I like the crumb cake. That's my favorite.
Oh, bro. No, it's not just the donuts. The donuts are king. The crumb cake, The original Danish, they used to make a circular Danish with the icing on top. They don't make that anymore. They make it with like cheese and cream in it, but just the regular Danish. That was good. The mini muffins are a newer age treat. I don't think I had those when I was a kid, but my kid. So I eat the donuts. Keegan eats the muffins. He legit runs around going muffins, muffins. So we call him the Muffin Man. He puts down pouches at a time. I would go. Number 1 is the rich frosted donut. Number 2 is the crumb cake. Number 3 are the I'll go with the white donuts, like the small powdered white donuts.
I don't think I've had those before.
Oh, they're just like, I think Hostess had the white donuts when I was a kid, but Entenmann's finally got in the game where they just started making the small white donuts. Their cookies are fire. I got in a fight with Clem recently. He thinks they shrunk the size. I don't really care. They taste fucking delicious. And a newcomer on my list, we get them here, are the little apple pie like frosted squares.
Yes.
Those are fucking dope.
Yes.
That would probably be my top 5 right now, but a distant second place. The rich frosted donuts are far and away number 1. And nothing hurts worse than when you get home or your mom got home from shopping and you pull the box out of the bag and you realize you grabbed the devil's food, the chocolate on chocolate. Ugh, it's just not the same, bro. It's just not the same. You're ready to break open a box of rich frosted, and instead you got the chocolate on chocolate. Oh, that was a kick in the dick, man. Somebody said on Twitter, I hope that Charles Entenmann's casket is a white box with a clear plastic top.
I saw that comment.
I said I wanted to send flowers in the shape of a rich frosted donut, just like a black circle of black roses. So shout out to the Entenmann's family. I always think, I don't know how, maybe Charlie and the family were not down with my type of humor and my type of content, but I always thought there was so much room to do some sponsorship there. One year I went to National Donut Day in Madison Square Park, like as Entenmann's guest, but it was before we did like vlogs and videos and shit, so I didn't even really know how to make one. So I just kind of went there and enjoyed it like as a person. I didn't do anything work-wise with it. But
wait, where was it?
I think it was in Madison Square Park. It was, or maybe Union Square Park. It was one of the parks here, and they just had like, there was something like they had like a 500-pound donut. It was cool. It was like one huge rich frosted donut that was like 3 feet thick and like 10 feet wide, and they had like tents set up everywhere with different donuts and shit. But I do remember early on, one of the Stoolies' moms worked for Entenmann's at the time, and they sent me like boxes on boxes on boxes. And at that point, it was probably like 2000, maybe like 12, and I was like, I made it, bro. I have made it. Like, I'm out of the cubes, and I'm getting free Entenmann's. I don't care what else happens. I don't need any more money, any more success. I got free donuts. That's the most important thing to me in this world. So, shout out to Charlie Entenmann, the man who was responsible for basically my favorite food of all time. If you're watching on YouTube, you got to be watching on YouTube, right? Are we doing Twitter Spaces or no?
We are currently live on Twitter Spaces.
Okay, so if we
might have been muted for the first 5 minutes, but we figured it out.
Okay.
We're gonna get a little bit better hardware next week that will make it a lot easier. But
Okay.
yeah, we will be live on Spaces.
We were trying to figure out a way to do audio for this as well, because we know as much as video is taking over, we know that there's still a lot of people who watch or who listen on their commute, who listen at their office, at the gym, and they're not able to watch on YouTube. So we are streaming the audio on Twitter, and Twitter Spaces allows you to, you can close out of Twitter and do other shit on your phone, browse the internet, open up other apps, and the audio still streams. So if you want to just listen to the Kevin Clancy Show live, you can do that as well. And of course, everything will be on demand like usual on Apple and Spotify and all the other places you can listen to podcasts. But if you are watching, you can see my fucking fresh ass hat. Now this hat right here, let me show the maybe you can zoom in on that right there. This hat has the New York State flower, which is a rose. Didn't know that. We've got the Empire State across the top here, the state outline, and the Big Apple. Freshest hat in the game right now. My son Keegan picked out this hat for my birthday, and so now I will be wearing this hat for pretty much like the rest of the time, because when your kid gets you a gift like this, what more can you do than turn it into a giant joke and wear it everywhere you go? Keegan, it was my birthday on Sunday, and Keegan's mom was like, "What are we gonna get, Dad?" And Keegan was like, "The Mets." She was like, "What do you mean? He was like, "Get him the Mets." And she was like, "Well, how can you get him the Mets?" And he was like, "Let's just go pick out something Mets-ish." So she took him to the mall, and this was the hat he picked out. It is enormous. It's 7 3/8. I am no more than 7 1/4. I have a tiny pea head. Yeah, look at that, baby. Oh yeah, it is way too big. And if I'm being honest, and let's just call a spade, I am the wrong race for this hat. I need to be at least Dominican to wear this hat. That's a fact, okay? This hat is made for Dominicans and black guys and not for, yeah. That Photoshop of me from back in the day, if you're unfamiliar with that picture, this is a joke that we used to tell back in the early days of the blog that I'd probably get canceled for now. But people used to just call me Black KFC because when I was a kid, I used to hang out I was the only white kid in my crew. I used to play basketball and listen to rap and hang out with all the black kids and Spanish kids everywhere I went. When I was in City Island in the Bronx, when I moved to Pelham in Westchester. And so somebody photoshopped my head with the hat on to the original picture of me. Put that picture back up one more time. That was me in 7th grade. I was wearing a Jordan matching shorts and sleeveless tee set. And that is me in like 7th grade, I think. No, maybe a little older than that. But I think it was middle school. And that's from left, going clockwise, from me to my left is Neil. Crouching down is Corey. And then up on my right is Alejandro. And honestly, with that hat, I fit in better now at the age of 37 than I did back then at the age of probably like 15. So get ready for the hat. It honestly looks more reasonable right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at myself here. Like when I take pictures with the phone, I look absurd. Like the brim looks so big and the crown is so high. And if I wear it backwards, it's even like, I mean, it's just, I mean, I look like Pablo, what's his name? Pablo Torres or something from Pablo
Sanchez.
Pablo Sanchez from Backyard Baseball with that huge hat on. So it just like sits on my head all puffy. So somehow it actually looks more reasonable forward, and I just kind of float. If I put it all the way down, I mean, I can cover my ears with it, for fuck's sake. But now that I don't know. This just, I mean, obviously this part is absurd. But it doesn't look as silly on camera, but you just have to trust me. I look utterly ridiculous, and no, like, 37-year-old white guy should be rocking this hat. So, naturally, I will be wearing it forever now. The hat is now a part of me. It's like Venom when he puts on the suit. When I put on the hat, we go into content mode, okay? It's like when LeBron locks down in 0 Dark 30-23 mode. When we go hat mode, it's about to pop off, okay? Black KFC's coming out. We about to chop up some content. And I it's funny because, like, Keegan, I wear the hat, and I see Keegan. I'm like, hey, bud, like, I'm wearing your hat. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. You know, like, at first I was like, I'm going to wear this because my son got me this, and he's old enough to know, like, what presents are now and that he picked it out. And I don't want to be the dad who just, like, he sees it sitting in a pile collecting dust. He doesn't give one single fuck that I wear this hat. He literally looked up from he was playing Minecraft, and he looked up, and I was like, I'm wearing the hat, and he was like, yeah, back to his video game. It's like, God damn it, I'm walking around making a goddamn embarrassment out of myself for you, kid. People think that this is just my hat. They don't know. They don't know.
That's unbelievable.
It's crazy. People think that I'm just wearing this hat unironically. Like, I dropped him off at school yesterday, and people probably just thought I was fucking wearing this dumb hat. I want to be like, I need like a sticker on the other side that says this is my son's hat. I'm very regrettably, I took off the fucking sticker. The New Era sticker was a big miss.
Can we start putting like more stuff on?
Yeah,
let's
do
it. Go to the mall, get like from Keegan.
Let's get like pins and embroidery and yes. How about this? Anybody, you could be an artist, a digital designer, a needlepoint, whatever you do. If you can send me a patch, a pin, a sticker, anything that can adorn this beautiful hat, and let me tell you, there's plenty of fucking real estate on this thing. I will put it on the hat. Anything that's good enough will become part of the hat. So it's your chance to shine if you want to get your name out there and send me some of your work. But nothing, no. Here's the thing that's funny, too. I know for a fact that there are some guys. I need to hear the old. Arriba la raza! Shout out to Clem watching out there. I know for a fact that there are guys that I grew up with, still who are my age now, who are seeing me wearing this on Instagram and social media and now on this show, being like, I don't get the joke. What do you mean? Like, I wear this hat. I wear that hat. I'm like, yeah, sorry, bro. If you don't get this joke, you're walking around with this hat. You look ridiculous. And I know I got a lot of guys. It looks big on me, but it's not that absurd from this shot. I promise you.
That's what I was going to say. It's honestly not as bad as you think it is.
But in person, is it not? I feel like it's ridiculous in person.
It really isn't. I don't know if it's because of this angle. Then again, my eyesight's terrible.
Guess when I kind of float it, it looks bigger. Because you have to understand, my head ends like right here. So like all of this is just flat, empty space.
That real estate at the end on the sides, the brim going straight and not going with
the brim goes back to my temples, bro. It's crazy. So the hat is my new shit. But yeah, there's probably some 37-year-old white guys out there with kids wearing this unironically. And to you, I say, maybe rethink things. I'm sick of there's a few things that I see on social media that I don't appreciate as an old guy because I don't even know what they I do look like Lil Sass. I do look like Lil Sass when he's trying to be the king of New York. The Photoshop of him when the hat got really big is basically what mine is in real life. I'm sick of being on Instagram and seeing a few things on Reels and on videos. Primarily, when I see people post a video and they're like, reverse this, I have no fucking idea what that means and how to do it, and I'm never going to do it. Or when they're like, play this at 1/3 speed, I have no idea how to do any of that. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nick?
Yeah, I think you literally have to go into, like, you have to download it, bring it into Snapchat.
Who would do that?
Reverse. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of dedication.
Like, the things that I don't understand, play this at half speed, play this in reverse. And also, I'm sick of the people who post themselves with that. There's that one filter that, like, really changes your face. And they just post a video going like, oh, my God, I can't believe this. I don't look like this at all. Like, yeah, we fucking know. It's a goddamn filter on Instagram. And if you're not going to show the before face and the after face, how do we even fucking know how bad of a filter it really is? Those are the three things I scroll social media as, and I'm like, what the fuck? You expect me to download this song and open it up in somewhere else and play it at half speed so that I can hear something? Get the fuck out of here. That shit is for children. Anybody who's doing that, if you're an adult and you're playing at half speed or playing at 1/3 speed or you're trying to do the lyrics at 3x or whatever the fuck, get out. You're probably wearing this hat unironically too. I can't stand that shit.
Almost every single one of those two end up being like, it's just they're rickrolling you.
Right.
Or like if they say, hey, say this word and then they play it backwards, it's almost always a racial slur. Like almost to a T. And it's like, I got you on
Great,
video
you
saying
got
this.
me.
And it's like, no, it was reversed. It is fucked up.
That I actually, I can appreciate. I while certainly not condoning any racial slurs, I do appreciate the last bastion of internet chaos creators, the people out there who just use the internet for evil. people who are just like, I'm here to terrorize. Like, shout out to my man Jinx. He doesn't use it for evil. He actually uses it for good, but it's chaos. If you don't know Jinx on Twitter, he's on Twitter. I believe his name is @crackconnoisseur, and he makes these like compilation videos. Like they're basically like bootleg music videos that expose political conspiracies while playing like old school rap songs in the background.
Yeah, Zod just asked if we wanted to bring it up. I'm like, I don't think we could play the videos because they're horrific, or the music.
We can't do the music. We will get banned from YouTube. We will be shadow banned on social media. We might have. I swear to God, the government's going after Jinx. They're going to take him down. I'm almost scared to be associated.
In one of his videos, that was ridiculous. I'm like, oh, this is not the part of the internet we need to be on right now.
No, wrong. That is the part. I want to go deeper into that part of the internet.
Actually, you're right. Like, that thing got like 200 retweets.
Yes.
Tweets.
People love it. People can't.
Tweets. Didn't know that was
I know. If you quote tweet Jinx, it just doesn't show up. So Jinx put us in one of his videos from Friday Night Pints when Shane Gillis was on, because Shane was the one who put me on to Jinx. And we were talking about him, and he like used us speaking as his intro, and I was like, oh boy, there's no going back now. We are in like Jinx Nation now, and so I feel like I'm on some sort of list. I feel like between the 1 Minute Mans I've done, where I like made fun of China, and we exposed some conspiracies, and I started talking greasy about Epstein and Clintons and shit. I feel like I was like teetering on a list. Getting down with the crack connoisseur Jinxie, I feel like is official. You've got somebody like monitoring your phone calls now. So congratulations to all you listening. You're probably like de facto on a list because you're a fan of mine. And this is how we create an army. This is how we become like the goddamn Riddler in Batman, minus all the violence. We're gonna just create chaos on the internet for the rest of our time now. I'm old. I'm washed up. I've done my work. I have my money coming. We talked about it yesterday on the Dave Portnoy Show a little bit. Once that happens, I'm just here for chaos, man. I'm just going to cause a scene on the internet until I get canceled or I'm killed, and that's it. That's what we're here to do. So if you want to join the movement and join the nation with all the chicken heads, like, come on down. Every Wednesday, we're going to do it here on the Kevin Clancy Show. Every Tuesday and Thursday on KFC Radio. Every goddamn day on 1 Minute Man. But I did go on the Dave Portnoy Show yesterday. Was quite the experience. I got a text from Eddie the day before, and he said, you want to come on the Dave Portnoy Show? And I wrote back like, why? What is going on here? And he was like, no. I just feel like people have been loving the rundowns, and people love the behind-the-scenes talk, and they would like it. And I was like, okay. I trust Eddie. And I don't think he would lie right to my face, but I also know what he's in the business of now. As a Dave Portnoy Show host, he's in the business of stirring the pot and getting, drama. So I was like, is this son of a bitch going to sandbag me? I show up. I walk in the studio. Kareem and Austin are there. They both go, I don't know what's going on. Dave, we start the show. Dave goes, hands up. I don't know what's going on. So everybody was kind of like, what's happening here? But Eddie did just want to chop it up and kind of talk old school. People seem to love it. It is funny when we kind of talked about it on the rundown. It got very meta because I was like, people seem to just love whenever we all talk, and that appearance on his show was exactly the same. The feedback I'm getting is people just being like, oh, I could listen to that all day long, which is why the one thing I could not believe. We talked about a lot. We talked about Penn. He talked about how Penn, is so focused on gambling that they didn't include me in the initial deal as one of the key employees. We talked about old school radio and how Dave. I was surprised to hear that Dave hated doing radio so much with me, because I used to think of that as like entertainment. It was like I didn't like, we're not like friends, but I was like, we're just doing a show here. This is just for the people. And like when we argue and yell and fight and clash, that's just good entertainment that people liked.
I thought you didn't like it.
I never walked out of there. I mean, like whatever, like if you want to call it like beef that me and Dave had, wherever we just don't see eye to eye, I always was more like professional about it. Like I never was like, I don't like this guy personally. I mean, of course there's certain things. Obviously me and Dave don't like each other personally on certain things, but it was never to the point that I was like, I hate this guy. I was always, what I didn't like was how much of it was like 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever time we were doing it at that point. I was like, here we go. Yep. This is going to be 2 hours of like it's not easy,
Someone
breezy
getting
radio.
slaughtered.
Yes, yeah. Someone's going to get slaughtered, or we're going to argue, or I also always felt the need to, like, defend the person getting slaughtered. So if Liz was getting slaughtered, I would take her side. When someone got called in to get eradicated, I would have their back just to, like, try to give them some help against Dave, And so that would always pit me and Dave against each other. But I would walk out of there being like, Jesus Christ, but I never was like, I don't want to do this show anymore, or like I don't like this guy personally. But I guess that's how Dave felt about it.
So what made me feel that way is just seeing the complete difference in, like, you started on the Dave Portnoy on that show on Barstool Radio, and then seeing how different CCK was.
Yes, well, so that, no doubt. The difference when I do shows with and without Dave, first of all, you do a show with Dave Portnoy, it's going to be Dave's show. And I recognize that. So when I am on the air with him, I know that I am kind of more of a host and a point guard, and I'm just going to lob up topics, let him rant. I'm going to, like, give the counterpoint or give my opinion. But it's never going to be like, on the Dave Portnoy Show, it was never going to be like, welcome to another edition of Barstool Radio. Let me tell you about my life and what's going on. Dave doesn't give a fuck about me and what's happening. And the few times that I would, like, try to bring something up like that, he'd be like, yeah, whatever. Let me talk about my American Express points, So I learned quickly that same thing with the rundown and any other time. It's just like it's the Dave show. I also think that Dave is terrible at, like, the give and take of a show. Like, sometimes you do gotta, like, take interest in the other person's story, or laugh at their joke, or give them some room to run, or ask them follow-up questions. Dave just doesn't do that. So when
the way that we do that, like, on Answer the Internet, I feel like Dave would fucking hate that. He'd be like, I gave you an answer. Like, that's
yes, and so we're very, like, different stylistically. We're very different philosophically. I think we're very different socially. Like, me and him are just, like, diametrically opposed in a lot of ways. So when I do a show with John, like, we're fucking clowning around. We're exaggerating. We're talking about silly hypotheticals. We're having fun. Dave is much more, like, rooted in reality, doesn't want to really goof off. So, like, it's just a totally different show when I get together with my dog, Jared Carabas. I'll talk about him in a minute. It's just a shit show. It's a fun time. When I'm on air with Dave, it's never really, like, light like that. But the one thing I just could not believe, like, if he wants to tell me he didn't like me, okay, fine. He wants to tell me he didn't need to include me on the pen deal, fine, all that shit. When he said that he wants segments and like, games and bits, I almost choked. What is Dave Portnoy talking about? Since when does Dave Portnoy want, like, bits on his show? I was like, what? In what world? Anytime that, like, Frankie tried to book a guest or do a game or do, like, next up on the show we'll play this or that, he was always like, fuck this. And as he should. I hate that kind of shit. I know that, like, it's kind of like, you got to do it for the sake of sales and the sake of repetition and all that shit. But if I could, the shows that I do on my own, I don't do bits. I don't do segments. I don't do games. I don't want to do that. When I think of, like, the great radio, I'm like, what was the best, like, Mike Francesa bit? Fucking never. He would maybe have, like, a call-in, like, routine, but that's it. What's your favorite Howard Stern bit? Like, I don't know. He just goes and just is ridiculous and just has entertaining conversation. So I was, like, stunned to hear that, because I feel like anytime we did try to do something, like, radio-y, he was like, fuck that. I feel like that people who like us want to just hear, like, what are the topics of the day? Let's hear their opinions. Let's hear them argue. Let's hear them joke. And you don't need to have any of that shit. So that to me, I was like, what? But and then in classic Dave fashion, the only thing he said on social media from that show was sharing the link where he offered me money. I was like, you rat motherfucker. The only thing, like, he'll always find a way to be a condescending asshole with a power play over you at any given moment. Like, yeah, you offered me money. I legitimately would go broke before I took a loan from Dave Portnoy.
That was actually my most. That was a segment that I was most interested in, like how you took that. Cause
yeah, so I just started. I went to him being like, I wanted a raise, and I was like, yo, man, I need a raise. I was going through the divorce. I had the kids. I was just like, I need more money. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I got a lot of bills, bro. Like, you're a single guy. You don't know how it is out here when you have 2 kids and you're going through this divorce. And a lot of it is of my own making. It's like my own choice. But I just, listen, it is what it is. I need a raise. I need more money. And he was like, I can give you some money. And I was like, no. Give me money through the company for the work I do. I ain't taking a fucking loan from you, brother. And I mean, at the end of the day, and this is why I was surprised to hear when he was like, oh, I hated it. I hate you. Because I was like, at the end of the day, if shit ever really did go down, I probably could take him up on that offer, but make no mistake about it. He would talk about it every single day. He would open up every single podcast like, hey, what's up? It's the Dave Portnoy Show. Kevin Clancy owes me money. So
they'd hijack KFC radio and make like a new intro that's like, I'm Dave Portnoy and I've funded this podcast.
Every time. I mean, he already thinks he owns me because I work for his company. It's like, I do work, you pay me, somehow that means you own me. If he actually gave me money, forget about it. That is truly like a deal with the devil. I would never fucking touch that.
And just for like the old school stoolies, you allude to it, the churning times. What was that? What was that?
That was just like when
that period just before churning came in.
That was just like the worst our relationships ever were.
Okay.
It was like I don't know what it is. I didn't want to get too like fucking into it or emotional about it yesterday, but like I think there had to have been something that changed on his end. For me, once he started getting money and became like more like the famous guy, he would just like shit down our throats at every fucking turn. I own you. I gave you a life. I'm big. You're small. I'm smart. You're dumb. So eventually it was just like, man, fuck this guy. Fuck my boss, But I don't know what it is from him. And I guess maybe it's just like when I take shots back at him and I make fun of him for, I don't know, bald spots and 45-year-old and hanging out with 18-year-old kids and shit like that. So maybe it was just like he was fed up with those things. But I don't know what it was other than it was probably just like daily grind. Like at that point we had been doing it together for like I had been there for like 6-7 years. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And it was just like, daily arguments and taking shots. And there was one moment where we did a rundown that never got aired because it flipped over from content to just like personal, where we were just like airing out all of our grievances on the rundown. It was kind of like me and Dan versus Dave being like. But I think once it became clear that his style of like being a boss was more, and he says this much, he's like, I'm not like a positive encouragement guy. I am more like I run a tight ship and it's more like fear than love and that kind of shit. So we were kind of like, at that point we had reached our breaking point with that. And luckily Chernin came along because it was like, I don't even know what, I don't know if I would have left or Dan would have left or we would have just continued to be miserable or what. But I feel like Chernin came in at like the exact right time to be like, all right, well, now at least we have money and a future coming in and all that shit.
Now the big one's coming. What's the first purchase?
The first purchase. I'll probably get a new place. I got to get out of my apartment. There was a house on the market when I first moved to the suburbs that was like just out of our reach financially. That was really fucking dope. And if I have no idea who lives there now or if there's a chance it could potentially be back on the market. But that would be the first thing I would pick if I could when the money rolls in is that house because it was like. We like almost could pull it off, but it would have been like tight financially, and so we didn't do it. And that would be one that I would love to have back. Otherwise, I don't think I'll have any like big lavish purchases. I will probably eventually want to get like a house at the Jersey Shore or like the Hamptons or something. But
I feel like you're gonna end up doing the Sprite machine in your house. I feel like you've talked about that, like soda machines and stuff like that.
Yeah. My thing will be like a reasonably sized house. Here's what I want. I want a fucking dope ass fireplace, a tricked out bathroom, and like ridiculous things like I want to have the soda machine in my kitchen. I want to have the 2 dishwashers we talked about with Bert Kreischer. Like little things that are just like stupid but make my life easier the way I want them. That's the kind of stuff I'll do.
Well, yeah. What was 2 dishwashers again for the people that don't remember that?
You have when I do the dishes, I think that taking dishes out of the dishwasher when they're clean and putting them in the cabinets is fucking insane. I just open up the dishwasher and take the stuff out that I need to use. Then once I use new dishes, sometimes I end up putting back into the dishwasher where I then have a mix of dirty and clean dishes that I just rewash the dishwasher. So if you have 2 dishwashers, you just keep moving your dishes back and forth. So I take the clean dish out and I use it, and when I'm finished, I put it in the second dishwasher. And then when the second dishwasher fills up, I run that one. And then I take them out of there, I put them back in. So you just go dishwasher to dishwasher, and you never really need any cabinets.
No, yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I was gonna contest it. Then
No,
he broke
it's there's just no
He
reason
broke
to
me.
not do it. It's brilliant. So
especially when you can afford it.
when you can afford it, when I don't, especially like if I still was living, if I still had a wife and the kids all the time, and we had so many dishes and so many meals, but if I'm gonna be like on my own, it's only like a dish at a time. Just go 2 dishwashers. It's gravy, baby, no problem. So I'd rather have like a house. I never understood having like a monster size house that when you're like living alone, because it's just more space to take care of and heat and worry about and all that shit. So I'd rather have like a small house. KFC doesn't get enough credit for being a genius. I like that guy. Shout out to Corey Bruce. Comment of the day. That's going to be hard to top. We're going to open up the phone lines in a little bit. If you want to try to top Corey Bruce, go ahead. Go right ahead. Try to top that comment. 888-786-6522. If you can top that, I don't get enough credit for being a genius. I agree with you, Corey Bruce, and I hope that others do as well. What else do I got here? I wrote down a bunch of shit to talk about. All of it is just insanely stupid. Oh, real quick, are any of you guys watching Love is Blind back there? Love is Blind.
I am
What?
not, but
Tech guy's shaking
We
his head
have-
like he's above that or
I just
something.
turned around and saw how many people we have in here. Jesus.
Yeah, we got the squad back there. Love is Blind is the greatest trash television on right now. It is the most absurd premise. It takes shows like The Bachelor and all the dating and marrying shows and makes them look like normal relationships. These people meet, they never see each other. They talk through a wall. So you only learn about the person. You don't get to see them, and then you're supposed to marry them within like 2 weeks. And this shit is just like watching a motherfucking train wreck. The amount of people on there who are completely delusional and actually people go on The Bachelor and they're just like, yeah, we're just trying to get famous now. The people who go on Love is Blind are like, yeah, I'm actually looking for like a spouse. You're out of your fucking mind. But there was this one dude, man. He's an Indian guy. His nickname is Shake. I have never seen someone as hated as this man in reality TV show history, right? There's never been a villain like that guy. He is the biggest prick. But I also kind of respect him because everyone else on the show is taking the premise so seriously, where it's like, we came to find love and we're learning about inner beauty and we're not here for superficial reasons and blah, 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 blah. And then that dude Shakes was like, yeah, man, I don't know. This shit is fucking wacky. And this cat right here, this is a dated reference, but if you ever watched Clone High, the character that played Gandhi is Shake. He was like this horny Indian kid who ran around running his mouth and offending people, and that is this dude Shakes. He was trying to get slick when he would talk to all the girls when they first talked through, they call them the pods, when you can't see each other and you're talking through a wall. He was trying to still find out if the girls were hot or not. But you can't really, I guess the rules are that you can't be like, so, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? What color's your hair? What's your build like? So he tried to get slick with it and ask them questions. Yes, that's it right there. And Gandhi would run around on Clone High just trying to, fuck bitches and get drunk and be horribly offensive. And that dude did this in real life. But he would try to ask these questions to find out if the girls were skinny or if they looked hot. So he would be like, so if we went to a music festival together, would you be the type of girl that would get up on my shoulders and dance? And the girls would be like, yeah, sure. I'm down for that. That sounds fun. I'm spontaneous. I like music. And he'd be like, cool. Would I have trouble picking you up? And they were like, what? And he's like, yeah. Would it be hard for me to pick you up? And, of course, being the dirt balls that they are over at Netflix, they had, a overweight girl who's in there being like, I don't know, I guess so. Basically being like, yo, are you fat? Can I pick you up over my head or not? It was unbelievable theater. And that dude provided so much air coverage for the other scumbags and crazy girls on that show. There's like 3 or 4 people on that show that would be regarded as the dumbest, weirdest, most like fucked up people in reality TV show history, and no one's even talking about them because of this Indian cat shakes. It was like unreal how much the other people got away with things just because of this one guy that everyone on the show, even Nick Lachey's ass was like talking shit. They did a reunion because Nick Lachey and his wife are the hosts, and they were like, fuck you, man, you treat people like scum. I was like, damn, even Vanessa Lachey hates your ass, Shake.
Wait, is Nick Lachey like a part of the show or the host?
Joe, let me tell you this. Whoever Nick Lachey's agent is, holler at your boy, because it is the greatest gig of all time. They are the hosts of the show. They show up episode 1, they stand together, and they're like, welcome to our experiment, Love is Blind, where you can find out like about inner beauty. They explain the premise. They disappear for like 4 straight episodes. You don't ever see them again. They come back in, and they're like, now it's time to meet your people. They disappear for like 3 more episodes, and they show up for the final like reunion. They do like, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes of work total, and they are the hosts of like the new big reality show. It is amazing. So they're like, he in the reunion, they were mixing it up. They were like, they acted like they were part of the show. They were like, fuck you, dude. But man, that guy, I almost started to respect him. He was playing the heel role so well. He was like, if I could just interject for a moment, and I know nobody here likes me and wants to hear from me, but fuck it, I don't care. And I was like, I kind of respect this cat. So if you think you're above trash TV, I challenge you to watch this one though. It is that entertaining to watch these fucking lunatics. There was the craziest chick. There was a chick. Put it this way. There's a chick on Love Is Blind that 100% wholeheartedly believes in creation, does not believe in evolution, and she was the most level-headed girl on the show. She walked out and was like, I can't do this. I'm not marrying this guy. This is fucking crazy. But she met this dude. They hit it off. Everything was good. And then he was like, I'm not really religious. And she was like, oh, really? I'm pretty religious. And they kind of like clashed. And she was like, so do you like believe in evolution? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, that's a deal breaker. I've never seen anything like it in the modern world. Like an actual adult being like, evolution, deal breaker. We can't be together anymore.
Is this a girl?
Mm-hmm. That girl with the hat right there. She's pretty hot too. She was like,
I'd go to church.
Yeah, she like said yes when he proposed. This dude brought his mother's ring in and everything, and was like, right now in your hands, you're holding my mom's ring. Like, will you marry me? And she was like, and I don't know if it was editing or what, but she legitimately paused for like a solid like NBA 10-second count and was like, I guess so, yeah. And he was like, oh, you made me so happy. I was like, you just twisted that bitch's arm. She said yes as if you were like when you ask someone at the end of dinner, do you want dessert? And they go, I shouldn't, but I kind of want to. I guess so. We'll do it. Except it was fucking marriage. But that girl then, the crazy creation religious freak, had the wherewithal to be like, I can't marry you. This is fucking insanity. Everyone, there was two couples. Oh, and then the one dude. We'll take calls after this because I'm just talking about a show that I know some of you maybe haven't seen. But the one dude at his wedding sweat through his shirt, his vest, his jacket. He had an undershirt, a dress shirt, his vest, and his jacket. He sweat so much, he had a sweat stain above his dick, He had like right here was soaking wet. It was crazy.
That's incredible.
And as a sweating guy, I sympathize with him. He's standing up there on the altar. You could see the sweat dripping down his face. He had his forearms had sweat stains. His pits, his dick, his back. It was insane, dude.
Wait, what's the guy's name? Nick?
Maybe. Let me see. I'll pull up the Love Is Blind. I'm sure if you just do like Love Is Blind sweat, it might come up. Love Is Blind sweat. And I mean, I've never. Yeah, Nick sweated his way through it. Yep. I'm looking at like the Google images. It doesn't look like they have any of the good shots of it.
But yeah, that's what I was rummaging through trying to find one.
It was absolutely crazy, dude. I'll hop on Twitter during calls, and we'll see if there's any pictures for it. But let's get to the calls. I don't think I have anything else I really wanted to talk about here. But yeah, let's do it. Opening up the lines. You can talk about Dave Portnoy Show. You can talk about the hat. You can talk about the Blade bet that we got going on KFC Radio. Love is Blind. Anything. 888-786-6522. I actually don't have the computer, so if you guys want to put some calls up, if we have them.
All righty. We got Dan from Kansas. He wanted to talk about the Dave Portnoy Show.
What's up, Dan?
Hey, what's going on, Kevin? How you doing today?
Good, bro. What's up with you?
Not much. I just got a question for you. What do you think? Like, what do you think is going to be going on when you're like 50? Like, you think you'll still be on a mic? What do you think you'll be doing?
I've thought about that a lot because like the type of content that you do at Barstool when you're young is not really shit you can do when you're 50. My goal was always like, let me get in and get this work done while my kids are still young. Like, I don't know if I still want, I can't be doing some of the KFC Radio content I do once my kids are in like middle school, you know? Like right now they're still young and they don't know. But like if I'm talking about some of the things I'm talking about these days when my kids are older, I say that, but also it's going to be hard to just like change the work that I do. But part of me would love to, phase out of that and maybe into a little more, I don't know, just like type of shit that doesn't like ruin my kids' social lives. But I think at this point, what is weird is that we are the trailblazers for this type of content. There have been plenty of entertainers before us. There's been the Howard Sterns and the Mike Franceses and Craig Cartons and WFAN guys and radio hosts, and there's been the Bill Simmons and writers and shit. But there has never been like what we do, which is like being internet coal miners in the mud, drumming up controversy, fighting fights, doing edgy content, all that shit. There's really like me, Dan, and Dave can only relate to each other. My man Ross Bolin over, I used to do it for Total Frat Move. He kind of knows. But there's very few people who have been like, who are doing what we've done. So there's no blueprint to turn to. I'd love to be able to be like, oh, Joe Smith, he worked at a blog and then he transferred to a TV show and then a this and then a that. So I'm kind of like, we're all kind of writing our own history here. So I don't know what's in store. I would love to kind of do something more in the comedy realm. Dave has always kind of leaned away from the stand-up comedy world, and obviously that's become a big niche for KFC Radio. So I'd love to maybe one day have my own thing where, because there's so many funny comics that deserve so much more exposure than they get, and they have to grind for like 30 years of open mics before they're big. And I think if there was almost like a Barstool for stand-up comics where you get that exposure and all that shit like quickly, and we support you and all that kind of shit. I would love to do that.
Maybe once that bag comes in, a little KFC stand-up club.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know if it would be a club or a network of podcasts or something. I also like I'm not opposed to just staying at Barstool if the price is right and the money's good and it's just like an easy paycheck. I don't feel the need to like leave a legacy behind or have my own like empire or something like that. I think I could and would like to do something with the stand-up comics, but also like if it's just I just continue to work here and live my life, I would have no problem with that. I think the only thing I worry about is just they kind of say like you live long enough to become the villain. And I don't know. I just want to avoid that because at some point, I'm sure you get in enough controversy with people or you cross enough people and eventually you have a few enemies. I mean, I definitely have some enemies. I just don't want to have enemies of people that I once was cool with,
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of past the villain part.
Past the what?
The villain part, like everyone's trying to come at your throat.
Yeah, I hope so. I do. Like, part of me, like, I like to think, I've said before that I feel somewhat, relatively speaking, as long as I don't fuck up too much, uncancelable in the fact that it's people have tried to do it in the form of my personal life. People have tried to do it in my professional life. They tried to get at me for things that I've said, and I've taken hits, but like I always have fans that stick with me. Like I'm sure I would have a different career and a bigger star or whatever more, and I would have done more things and had more opportunities if my personal life didn't all go public and I didn't fuck up the marriage and everything. But that, like, I kind of withstood that. And I'm sure if I didn't say some of the things that I said and made the jokes that I made, maybe I would have had, different opportunities and done some different things. But I withstood that, and, like, I'm still going. So I'm hoping that, like, the villain days are over, because they are a fucking grind,
Yeah, those opportunities, though, would those even be, like, opportunities you'd want to, like accomplish on? Like, if it's, like, you can't, like, say what you want to say, you have to, like, go
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to go anywhere where I can't, like, have the freedom to say shit. But, like, for instance, I was joking, but not really joking. Like, after doing the Surviving Barstool hosting gig, if Netflix came along and was like, do you want to host this Love is Blind dating show, like, while I do my Barstool shit, I would love to do something like that, where I don't have to be edgy or funny, and I don't have to worry about my opinions. I'm just here to, like, do some hosting and meet some people. But I'm sure that, people don't even take a look at that for multiple reasons. I'm not saying that, like, people should be knocking down my door for hosting gigs. But even if, like, I've talked to people before, I've taken a couple meetings before about opportunities like that, and I get the impression that they're, like, into me. They know 1 Minute Man. They hear that I can host, and then I never hear from them again, because I'm pretty sure they, do a Google search and find some things and things that I said and tweets that I sent. And it's like, well, there's probably a few doors that I could have walked through that have been never even open to me because of things that I've done. Ultimately, I think it's all a net positive, but I do think there's probably certain things that have, stopped me from going different directions, I think.
Yep.
I appreciate the call, though, dude. That was a good one. I think also I don't mind being a villain to people who I don't like. Like, if you just don't like me because you don't get my jokes, you think that I'm evil and racist and misogynistic and all those things that we've dealt with a million times before. If I'm a villain to that, I don't care. What I'm more talking about is I don't ever want to go on and do something, and then one day someone, like, talks to Za and is like, oh, you used to work with KFC, and he's like, oh yeah, that dude, like, we were once cool, but now, like, fuck that. Like, I've been watching the Kanye doc. Have you seen that, Za?
Oh yeah.
So
I'm about to watch it the second time.
So I'm on the third episode. I didn't finish the third one, but to me, the second episode was, like, the one. The first episode was fine. I didn't think much of it. People were like, they just love all things Kanye. I was like, that's a fine episode of hour and a half of Kanye. The second episode I loved, because there was tons of, I'm a sucker for scenes of rappers in studio with the producers, brainstorming and all that shit. But what when I argue about Kanye all the time with the Kanye freaks, because I loved old Kanye and I hate new Kanye. I know that's cliche.
I'm with you.
I know that's cliche, but there's a reason why it's cliche, and it's because it's staggering. And when you watch old Kanye, when he was, like, humble and he was honest, and he would talk about, like, man, I needed to sell that beat. I was down to my last dollar, and he was vulnerable and he was real. And the main thing, I just don't get how Kanye stans how they reconcile this. You look at that doc with Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Pharrell, his own friends, Cootie,
and them.
They were so supportive, and even Jay. They loved him personally or professionally. They put him on. They hyped him up. They recognized his talent. They told the world about it. They put him on songs. They used his beats. Loved the dude, and now nothing. Nothing. Like, guys that and listen, like, I guess on some level it's like I guess with Dave, like, Dave put me on, and I'm sure if our roads separate, we wouldn't have much of a relationship anymore, but I still would always be like, that guy, like, gave me the chance, he put me on. But for everybody from your past, from Jay-Z to all the other rappers, nobody fucks with you anymore. Nobody has anything to say about you. And when Kanye does interviews, when he's with Nori, or when he's giving quotes, he almost shits on Just Blaze, he shits on Big Sean, shits on everybody. It's like, there's a reason why none of your friends from your old life fuck with you, and you have nothing good to say about them anymore, because you've become a fucking asshole. Right? I mean, that to me is the number one sign of, like, you're a dick. Nobody from before you blew up fucks with you anymore.
Messing with you.
That's like the number one sign.
I mean, just like what he did with Cootie, the whole
When he just
Cootie
blew him
incident. Like,
off?
yo, turn the mic off.
Yeah, you're not going on tour with me. Turn it off.
That was 11 years.
Right.
That was kids that grew up together. He just cut him out for 11 years.
God. And not to mention, it's like, dude, I've been filming for a reason. Like, we're gonna, like, this is my work.
Yeah.
And I wonder, do you know if they, like, because I haven't watched all of episode 3, do they reconcile or he just says, fuck it, I'm putting this out because, like, fuck you?
They kind of do. So do you want me to tell you?
No, I'll watch it.
Okay,
I just wasn't sure if it was like why it all of a sudden.
Yeah, watch it.
Did you like Cootie as a narrator?
I thought was it the second or the third episode where I thought it was a bit too much about him.
Yeah, at one point he's talking about
like
his
that.
kids and his and
it was right when they had me locked in. I think that was when just after he had dropped graduation.
Yeah.
So now you're actually into it. You're trying to think, and then you're hearing
and he's
more
talking
about
about
the Cootie
him.
story.
I know, and I was
mean,
like,
he's a cool guy.
Absolutely, like, no disrespect to him, but I was kind of like, bro, this is about Kanye, not you.
Not you. But
And he also, I just thought his he has no energy, and that's just his style and his voice. But I thought, and the way this is probably the correct way to say it, but the Kanye, everything was Kanye and then Kanye said, I'm like, ah. All right, let's get back to the calls. What do we got? Let's just run down the line. Oh, you've been on hold for a long time. Let's go to Dan in New Jersey. What up, Dan?
Okay, say thanks for the call.
You got
Entenmann's question.
Yes, sir.
Am I the only one in Central Jersey here where you go in and it's on an end cap and it's always buy one, get one or something? And I try and go in and I try and be good, but I always end up walking out with donuts or that cake with the chocolate frosting.
No, man, you're not the only one. That's what Entenmann's does. They've got the display at the end of the aisle. It's like the famous Seinfeld joke. They got the display at the end of the aisle. They're not mixed in with the other bullshit. They get their own section. Top to bottom, they've always got some sort of good deal, and they're always stocked, and that's why they're the greatest. And they do get you every time because it's like I'll go in, I'm like I just got to get like milk and bread, and I walk out of there with like 2 boxes of donuts, 3 fucking crumb cakes, 10 mini muffins. It's all part of the master plan that Charles Entenmann came up with.
It's unbelievable. MFK on Entenmann's for you.
Okay.
The donut, the Danish, and the crumb cake.
Easy peasy. Got to marry the donuts. I'm fucking the crumb cake, and I'm killing the Danish. What's the problem? No. The Danish is good, but it's also like discontinued now. And the crumb cake, yo, I swear to God, I can eat the whole square in like one sitting. Like I could just pick the square up as like my piece. But I would always do this as a kid, and I still do it now. When I get the crumb cake, the first thing I do is I cut out the middle piece because I don't fuck with the crusts. And the person, like my brother, my mom, whoever in my family got to the crumb cake second, and it would just have the middle slice pulled out. Such an asshole move. I'm like, such a dick move. I'm leaving nothing but crusts and edges for you guys, but sorry, fuck you. Harry with an Entenmann's question. What's up, Harry?
Hey, Kevin, how's it going?
Good, man.
I was just wondering if your thoughts, because I've heard you talk about a lot of Entenmann stuff. How do you feel about the double chocolate, like the fudge cake?
Nope.
Entenmann?
Nope. I don't do double. I mean, listen, I do double chocolate. I'm not like if I go to a steakhouse or something and they have like chocolate molten lava cake, I do it. But the I don't do cake really. Like cake, especially Entenmann style. I'm kind of I need the donut. I need the muffin. I need the I guess crumb cake, but that's kind of different. Like just like a moist regular cake with frosting is not really my jam.
Really? Because I'm so the opposite. I'm never really a double chocolate guy, but just that chocolate cake, I don't know, the way the frosting is on it, it's so perfect.
You know what I'd
It's
fuck
so
with? I like the pound cake, just the straight up like yellow cake. Sometimes I don't even need any frosting or shell or chocolate because I don't know what Entenmann's does, and I'm sure it is wildly unhealthy and unnatural, but the way they can make their shit like fresh, it's like a pillow, dude. It's like I wish I could sleep on a mattress made of the pound cake.
And that's the other thing I was going to say is with this chocolate cake, I found, because I was trying to turn my girlfriend onto it, and I found that if you don't like seal it completely, the frosting just turns into like clay.
Yeah.
But if you find a way to keep it fresh, it is something different. Like you say with the donuts, like I don't know how they do it. It's the frosting is on another level.
And that is the great debate I have with people on the donuts all the time. Thanks for the call, man. Is I say there's donut season. I only eat Entenmann's donuts from October to basically April. And then when the weather turns, the donuts get all melty. And then I'll tell this right to your fucking face. If you put rich frosted Entenmann's donuts in the fridge, I don't want to know you as a person. Fuck you. I will kill you. It's on sight if I see you. The people who think that it's good in the fridge when you pull it out and it's almost like all waxy and it's like you can see your fingerprints on it and there's no snap or crunch to the chocolate frosted shell and it's not soft at all. Awful. Awful. You have bum tastes. You have no class with your Entenmanns. You are ruining a good thing. It's almost like people who put like steak on ketchup, ketchup on steak. It's like no. This is not the way it's meant to be consumed. And it's all about. I have a theory that it's all about how they get like transferred to the stores because it can even be cold out. But if they were on the trucks during warm weather, once they get melty, they stay melty. They can't recreate the crunch. So it has to be full, cold fall weather from factory to your mouth for there to be the right, proper, crispy, crunchy shell of the donut. And anybody who tries to recreate that with an artificial fucking refrigeration session, you don't know your donuts. Fuck you. Let's go to Matt in Connecticut about the Dave Portnoy Show. What's up, Matt?
Hey, what's going on, KFC? First thing I want to say is, just like that guy earlier, I forget his name, who was saying you're a genius. I have friends, and we're all big fans of you, so we think that the hate you get is a little bit undeserved, and we're all big fans. So
Thank
just
you,
know
bro.
that we exist.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course. And, yeah, no problem. And second off, I just wanted to ask something I've always wondered. I've been a fan of Barstool since I was in high school, and I'm out of college now, and I've just always wondered, with your conversation with Dave and all that, if you could, if you don't want to disclose it, it's okay, but if you could give like some percentages of what aspects of him are shtick and what aspects of him are real, I'd be really interested to hear about that.
I think it's 0% shtick. I don't think anything that Dave does is shtick. I think he might be one of the only guys in the world that is. I mean, there are certain things that he probably, like just business-wise and you know, reasonable human-wise, won't say publicly. You know, I'm sure there's certain things like the call her daddy negotiation and things that go on and like, you know, just business things that you don't talk about money, you don't talk about certain topics, you know, things like that it's just like, that's not really a shtick. It's just that's how, you know, polite humans behave. But that's why Dave is Dave. Like, it's never he's never putting on a routine. It's never a shtick. It's never just for content. Whatever that's why he doesn't do DMs. That's why he doesn't do off the record, because everything he says to your face is what he says publicly, and that's why he's an asshole too, because it becomes abrasive. But also what's good is you always know what you're gonna get. I'd rather that than the guy who's like nice to your face and then you hear stories that he's talking shit behind your back, or you know that he's like, you know, secretly, you know, trying to get one over on you or whatever. Like Dave, he doesn't like me. He doesn't like me. He tells you that. He said that to other people, and like it's good. You at least know where you stand with him. So at least, you know, again, I don't talk to him at all anymore, so I don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. But I can say in my early dealings with him, it was always like fully 100%. He kept it real, to the point sometimes that I was like, you know, I wanted to like collaborate more in the beginning, or I would pitch ideas and brainstorm, and he would just be like, no. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, wow, that was okay. But then you just learn, you know, that's his style and that's how you deal with it. And so like, you just know that's how Dave goes. Matt, let me ask you this though. Why, I'm always curious as to why there is the legion of haters that I have, because if you know me in my personal life, it's funny. I have like no enemies. I have like big crew of friends, get along with friends of friends. If I go to an event, a wedding, a party, whatever, it's never like I you know, people, I get along with like everybody. And then on the internet, I have this crew of people that view me as like the most punchable face, the cringiest takes, the most hateable opinions, the whatever. I mean, I know there's some people who hate me because of what happened with my marriage, whatever. I think that's weird, but okay. I know there are some people who hate me because like I'm a Mets fan and I hate on the Yankees or whatever. But then there are the people who just don't like. I don't know. Like it's just it almost is the worst of the worst because I'm like, you just don't like me. Because it's not like I don't have shticks, I don't have characters, I don't act. I just like give you my thoughts. And when people hate that, it's almost like, wow, you just don't like me as a human. But is there something? Is it sometimes I try to think like, all right, I got to remind myself that like I'm from New York and maybe these people are from the Midwest and maybe that we don't align with this and that. But I don't know. I'm always like, damn. Almost every one of these people, I bet if we like met or we hung out or whatever, you would not think any of this about me. But your opinion of me on the internet is so low.
Right. No, I think that in my opinion, like I said, I'm 23 years old, so like you are getting younger demographic with like my friends and I. And like I remember I saw your story maybe a couple months ago. Some guy like asking you how much you lift and some bullshit. Like he was some like dick kid, and he was just like saying whatever. I think, in my opinion, there's like kind of like you were saying, there's the 50% that's like maybe just doesn't know the area well. Like they don't know this tri-state area. They don't know New Yorkers. Like, they just don't get it. They don't really get that type of person. So that could be just kind of like the harmless whatever. You don't even think about haters. And there's just, in my opinion, the assholes who like act like they're there with someone's personal life. Like my parents are divorced. I've had a lot of stuff go on with my family and stuff. So it's very ignorant to hate someone for something that you don't know the full story of what's going on. So I don't ever judge people off of that.
I could never. I don't think I've ever met someone and been like, what's their former relationship like, and then I'll make my opinion on it. But I don't know. At the same time, I remember I would talk trash about Tiki Barber, and there'd be like guys in the news that would make. But I also like learned a lot. It was like when my shit went down, I was like, oh, it's not always what you think it is. So.
You act like you're there, and when you don't.
Yeah, but I guess even more than that is like the people who are like. Just at every turn, like when we do have success, like when 1 Minute Man hits 1 billion views, I've got the people who are like are arguing like in my mentions about why it's the views are autoplays, or this is you only have the success because of this or that, and it's like they're out to they can't like just let it be. It's just like, I don't know.
Fathom. God forbid maybe you just did well.
Yeah, right. And I just can't. I can't imagine picking out a random person in a random industry that I like listen to or I'm a fan of or whatever. And I like certain people. I don't like certain people. I've certainly talked shit about people in the media world. But if you told me that they did big ratings, I'd be like, I don't know. They just do big ratings. But the amount of people who actively hate, it's like, as a hater myself, I'm like, God damn, these people go hard.
Oh my God, it's more reflective in my opinion too on them. I consider myself a pretty happy person. Like my family's good. Like we're all healthy, all that. So like I don't really go out looking for hate or looking for people to not like. Whereas I think when you have distaste in yourself and stuff, that's when you kind of project it onto others. So
that's what I go with, brother. Thanks for the call, Matt. I hope that's that's true, man. Appreciate the love. Tell your friends I said thanks as well. Let's go to Rachel. What's up, Rachel?
Hey, KFC, big fan.
Thank you, girl.
To call in. I really think that you have like the best takes about inside Barstool and kind of where the company's going.
Awesome.
So I'm really curious. It's a big topic on the Reddit. I'm not a Reddit hater, just got to put that out there. But they always talk about and want to know, what does the next 5 years of Barstool look like, and what do you think it's going to be?
Man, the Reddit is the worst of the worst. That was the worst thing I ever did. I started that Reddit because I'm always the one trying to push us into the next medium or platform or whatever. And I was like, Reddit is like, the face of the internet, really. Like, let's start up a page.
That is your live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah,
like, you became the villain out there.
But how funny is that like the guys who love Reddit and love Barstool, and I bring those two things together, and like the first and only thing they did for the first like 5 years is just trash me and like harass me and my family.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they just it's very easy upvotes on there too.
If you
trash somebody and just copy paste the last like thing that was shit on, like you start with an upvote and like people just
they get addicted to it. It's like Franny Lydon when Hank was like, I just got addicted to the hate. What's the next 5 years like? I mean, Dan and Dave are locked in for the next 5. So that ain't changing. as far as I'm through 23, so I'll be here for at least a couple more. To me, you're never gonna recreate the old Barstool. You're never gonna have anything that was like the early days, where it was just the perfect mix of the right guys who were hungry and personally motivated, and at the right time when the internet was changing and popping off, and it just doesn't happen that way. But some of the most beloved characters on this show, at this company right now, came here recently. You have the Knicks and KBs and Sass and Roan and Brandon Walker, the whole Yak crew. Brianna is like going to be the biggest star on the internet in a year or two. So like some of the biggest people and most successful people at Barstool have been recently. Now, is it the same old guys that you love? And a lot of these people who are on the Reddit are kind of like the demographic, the original demographic of just like, 20-something white guys who like the other 20-something white guys. And if it's girls or younger or different people, they don't fuck with it as much. But some of the most success at Barstool has been recently. It's not quite the same. It doesn't have the same like old school charm, but I don't think there's any like concern that like we won't stop finding talent. We won't continue to get some of the best the internet has to offer. Now, the internet itself has shifted. Like there was a time where, everybody wanted to read well-written blogs. I love that. We crushed that. That was a great time for me. That was my talent. But now it's shifted to, people got to do like funny fucking skits on short form social media. That's what the market wants. So that's what you're going to get. And the fans that don't like that or didn't come from that era are going to hate that. But the new age fucking love it. It's just like anything else that, grows up and ages. And unfortunately, when you get to this level, you lose a little bit of the charm. But you also gain, like I said, like a girl like Brianna. Brianna's going to be like, if not Alex Cooper, if not bigger, in a matter of months, And that doesn't happen without having, Barstool be the powerhouse that it is. Now, does that please, like I said, the 20-something-year-old like frat boys who, those are like our bread and butter guys from the beginning? They probably don't like that or they don't want to hear that. But I don't know. That's what it is. So as long as there's talent out there that wants to get exposure, wants to make some money, wants to like jump on the express lane, like to me, you come to Barstool and it's just, you look at like what Francis did, where like you don't have to do the open mics anymore. You're just selling out clubs now. To me, it's like a no-brainer to pop on here, get the exposure, and use it to move on to bigger and better places or stick around, whatever you want. So it'll probably be just more of the same, just without your favorite guys from the very beginning. That's really all it is. I think that's the only difference. What do you think?
I think that a lot of the Reddit, first off, I have to say that the Reddit last night gave you a lot of support, just to let you know.
Wow, shocking.
Yeah, a lot of comments. But it is true. It is a desolate place.
The best thing I did in my life, truly, was when I like actually cut the Reddit out of my life. There were times where I would be like, nah, I don't read the Reddit anymore, but I still would pop in. Like there were times where I checked it all the time because, like I said, I wanted to grow the Reddit and I wanted to make it a place where we find content, we find new acts, we find, like a brainstorming type of place where we share all that, and it became nothing but gossip. But I still would check in, and I still cared, and I often would try to argue back, and then I was like, nah, I don't read that anymore. But I did. But when I truly cut it out, like I just don't even think about it anymore, it was the like most healthy thing I've ever done for my entire life. But I'm happy to hear that they were nice to me for a change. But what do you think, and what do they think?
I think the biggest concern is a lot of people think Stool Scenes has kind of died because, like you said, people aren't just hanging out in the office anymore. I'm a huge Yak listener, and I know those guys work hard, but they come into the office for the show, and it seems like they kind of leave right after. So a lot of that behind-the-scenes content, a lot of the more organic moments, I think that's what people are worried are going to disappear.
Yeah, listen, that's a fact. That has disappeared. There's no hiding from that. If you were a diehard Barstool fan that knew and loved every character and wanted all the behind the scenes, that's not going to be the case anymore. I kind of alluded to it on the Dave Portnoy Show yesterday. I feel like if Dave was a little more definitive about him leaving and almost like pass the torch, like if he said to me, I'm leaving, I'm going to go live in Miami, we need to make sure that the office stays, interesting and running, I would have gladly become like the office man. I don't want to say manager because that's like office manager Brett, but like I would have tried to. I actually would have tried to like maybe run the office the way I always wanted to run it. Like I think Barstool can be a much more collaborative place. Me and Frankie agreed to do a collab on merch where it was like foreplay, a golf thing mixed with the Moon Man, and I realized like that's I think the first time there's ever been like two podcasts that to collaborate on merch, like things like that I think we should be doing so much more of, where we have all the great talent. What people die for outside of Barstool is to get people at Barstool to co-sign your content, right? But we don't even do that for each other in here. We don't even co-sign each other's content or do each other's shows and shit. So I feel like if it was almost like I'm leaving, we need someone, or it could have been me, it could have been Dan, it could have been whoever. But I think there almost needed to be some word that was happening, because instead it was like Dave's gone, but he comes back every now and then, and it kind of is like, is he here, is he not? It's not my place. He's still the boss. It's still his office, and instead it's just kind of like a slow death, I think. But yeah, I think Stool Scenes is probably the one thing that's like suffering the most.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much for taking my call, and I just got to say I love Jackie. You have to give her a shout out. So thanks for your time.
There you go, Jackie. International Women's Day yesterday.
Thank you.
There's a good there's a little pick you up. We'll do one more call, and then I got some last words. Taylor from Long Island. What's up, Taylor?
What's up? What's up?
My guy, CCKOG.
That's right, baby. That's right. CCK was the shit, and I do miss that when Karab is going. I was going to ask you stuff about Dave Portnoy Show, but I do want to ask about Jared and his departure that came out yesterday, that he's going to DraftKings.
Yeah, well, that was going to be what I was going to wrap up with. So ask me your question, and then when after that, I will wrap up with Jared.
Yeah, my experience dealing with Jared, you and Casey was awesome during before and during the pandemic was awesome. CCK was the absolute best, and my question is, was there any way to keep Jared? Because it seemed like, just from my perspective, I don't know if maybe other stories would agree with it, that it seemed like Jared was kind of falling out of place. Ever since the pandemic happened, he wasn't coming on the office as much, and he was doing his own thing. So, and I don't know if he was feeling the same love that other people were getting, but I don't know.
Okay.
I just missed it, and I'm going to miss it for a while. So I appreciate you giving me the call.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, and you're always like one of our biggest supporters, so I appreciate that. Also, check out Taylor. He's doing a lot of stuff over at WFAN, and he's on the overnights and whatnot. So check him out. Jared made a choice when he moved to Boston, and that, like, we talked about Stool Scenes, right? And it was kind of like, well, if you move to Boston, you're not gonna be a part of Stool Scenes anymore. Well, if you look around, Stool Scenes isn't really a thing anymore. Jared was already doing a show that was remote because he was dialing into Zoom with Dallas, and so it was like, especially the pandemic hit, people are living trapped in their apartments. He's in some shitty apartment away from home, doing remote shows. So at that point, it's like, why don't I go back home where my money goes longer? I'm closer to my friends and family. I still do my shows remote anyway. And yeah, you're gonna lose like some bit of your Barstool personality. But if you left Barstool in 2013, yeah, you are out of the mix. You are if you were remote, living in a different state, you're not going to get the same exposure you got. Leaving when he did, going back to Boston in 2020 or whatever it was, you're not really losing the same exposure, I guess we'll call it. So I think that if Jared got a real good offer that is impossible to turn down, and I think the only way that we would have like stopped that from happening is if we locked him up sooner. So I think if there had been negotiations earlier, I think sure. Like I don't think he ever would have expected any offer that he got of that size to come along, and had they offered him an extension or gave him more years earlier. Yeah, but that's anything, right? It's like, is there a way to keep this guy from leaving your team at free agency? Well, if you could have offered him an extension, and locked him up for like his arbitration years, then yeah, sure, he sticks around on your team. But that's, usually the way it works is like we have you under contract, you play out that contract, and then we renegotiate. Just happens that someone came along that, valued his position as like the number one baseball personality on the internet more so than the powers that be here. So what can you do? I think Jared, I know for a fact, like, if in a perfect world he would have stayed. He wanted to stay. He loves everybody here. He respects Dave for giving him that shot. He didn't, if he could do it all and do it for Barstool, he would. But I mean, not many people leave Barstool. There's been very few. It started with Mo back in the day. I think that was more of a personal choice for him. He just didn't feel like it was a good fit. Then you have like the occasional Alex Cooper, which is like that she just outgrew everything here in a matter of seconds, so she had to go. Same thing with Jenna Marbles. And then the other people are, people that like fall off and don't really matter. Jared's the first guy that matters, who's like almost a day one type of guy. And so it's a little bit of a shock to people, I think. It hasn't happened before. I think there's going to be some growing pains, and it's going to be like a rocky road for Barstool and Jared and Barstool because it hasn't happened yet. It's a competitor. You can say all you want about like we're happy for you, and he can be like, oh, I wanted to be with you, but at the end of the day, there was a breakup, and breakups are always going to be a little bit messy. But it's also show business, baby. Like at the end of the day, people don't realize that like it's no longer like, oh, this is my favorite blogger that I met, on the internet. There was a time where it was that, and everybody at Barstool was like, you felt like a friend of yours in a weird way. The amount of times that I hear people say, like, I called John and you my two friends when I'm telling stories. And I get that, and I understand that we're different from, like, movie stars and singers and shit, where we are much more accessible and personable, and you get to know us. So there is this feeling of, like, friendship or a connection. But, man, the stakes have grown. The stakes are fucking high now. And there's a lot of money on the table. There's a lot of opportunities on the table. And, it's become show business where, people are entertainers with representation and dreams and goals. And if things don't match up, they don't match up. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be anything too dramatic. It's like when you leave a team because somebody offers you the bag. It fucking happens. Now, of course, if you go to a direct competitor, it's like going to someone else in the same division. There's going to be some drama there for sure. But I think when the dust settles, like Barstool, Jared will always be, a part of like Barstool's history. I would imagine the door will pretty much always be open for him unless things go really south somehow. But you also can't stop a guy from going to a place where they're going to pay him a shit ton, which clearly means they also believe in him. Like, the only thing I will say about Barstool is it does feel like sometimes if you're not, like, the top dog, that you are – it's almost like if you're not first, you're last, where, they value the big money makers, and until you can crack into that top three or whatever, it's hard to get, like, shine and love and appreciation. So when someone comes along and they're going to give you big money, which also means they probably have huge plans for you, where they're going to put you on this program and that program and give you this spotlight and that spotlight because they believe in you and believe in your talent, that's, along with the money, that's probably got to be a nice, enticing feeling to be like, wow, it's almost like big fish in a small pond. Not that they're small, but you know what I mean? It's like, I'll be the top dog over there. I'll be the number one over there. I'll be, I'll get the attention and the resources and the appreciation and the shine. And I think that's probably, if not, in front of his mind, somewhere in the back of his mind, but I don't want to speak for him. I don't think, we'll be doing content with him and stuff because of the nature of, the two competitive companies. But that's, one of my best friends at the company, one of the best guys I've ever done content with. The only guy I really could have done another show with besides John was Jared, and CCK was a blast. Dog days will always go down in history. And I hope, I like to think, and I hope that at the end of the day, I hope I like brought him out of his baseball shell a little bit. That was always my thing with Jared. I always told him, and I say to the Chicklets guys too, I'm like, I know you guys got your sports to cover, but you shine best when you're talking about the nonsense. You're talking sex and girls and funny stories and growing up and wrestling and all your other interests is where anybody can talk about baseball. the shit that Jared tells about the stories he tell outside of that is where it's like, oh, that's where you're really funny and that's where you're really interesting. So just to have been a part of that, I'm happy and proud to have been a part of it. It was a cool run. It was a fun time, but extremely happy for him to move on. And now, it'll probably be an awkward transition period where in the beginning it's kind of like, listen, you're over there, we're over here. It can't be, lovey-dovey because it is a business. But I think that's only the early days of this. I think there's much more to be written between the two sides for many years to come. So shout out to the Rocket. Business aside, I always got your back and all that. But congrats and keep it moving, brother. And yeah, man. So we got the Blade Bet going on KFC Radio right now to wrap up. Let's just hit you with everything that's going on. Blade Bet, meaning Feidelberg's in control right now. He's going to go out there and try to get as many subscribers as he can. I encourage you to maybe, subscribe, maybe wait 5-6 more days before you do that, because I'll be back in control next week, and we can ratchet up the numbers again so we can make John shave that face. We got a new episode of KFC Radio out tomorrow. What else we got? We got Answer the Internet coming up on Monday.
ATI came out with Gary Goldman this week.
Oh, lovely. Gary Goldman is the fucking man.
Delightful person.
Just a great fucking dude. So go check out the ATI YouTube, subscribe to the KFC Radio YouTube, and tell your friends about Kevin Clancy Show live every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. See you guys next week.